Hello everyone, good day to all of you. I wanted to do a review today talking about the American Defense Manufacturing ADM4 stripped lower. I have this one assembled, but I have two of these. I've got a lot of time on, not this one, but the other one, and I wanted to talk about it. This is an Ambi lower. It has some pretty cool things going for it. To start off, if you're wondering about so ADM, they do make two different lowers. If you're wondering what's different between this and their other lower, which I believe is the UIC, they're virtually identical. Functionally, they are identical. The only difference is visually. Pretty much everything on this magwell here, you can see this is just flat. It looks very similar to just your mil-spec type of lower. But then their UIC just kind of has just some fancy cuts made in it. They're both billet lowers, but it just kind of looks more fancy if you're into that. But I personally prefer this type. But yeah, as far as features, they're identical. So how I'm going to talk about this lower here is I'll start from the very rear and just kind of move my way forward. And I'm not going to talk too much about the parts I have on here because I wanted to talk about the lower itself. So as you get this from ADM, when you buy this, it's just the lower receiver itself. It's a stripped lower. However, they do actually ship it with the pivot pin and the takedown pin installed. Now what's interesting is, as I said, I have two of these. This is the second one that I just recently got. My other one is residing on a G95K inspired build that I have here, and I got this one quite a while ago, I think just about a year ago now. And when I got this one, there's actually some interesting generational changes that it went into it. On this one, it still came with the same pivot pin here and takedown pin. However, the takedown pin was not installed. What's interesting and actually I think really cool and significantly simplifies installation is back here, your little channel for the detent that pushes up against the takedown pin, there's actually a little set screw that goes back here underneath your end plate, and it just retains everything. So when I got that one, they shipped the takedown pin separate and you had to install it, which is easy, but still it was separate. On this one, these are both just installed and really totally captive, and it's actually a really good idea because I do like these end plates that have sling loops on them. However, I have noticed that it gets a little tricky. It gives the spring kind of wants to push out and all that at times. Little annoying. That is compounded by a few of the other choices of parts I did with a lot of HK stuff on here. But regardless, I love that. It's excellent. And if you do want to change out the detent or you want to change out the takedown pin itself, of course, you can just undo that set screw and just pull everything out the rear and then put your new stuff back in. Now, similarly, going to actually move forward a little bit talking about all these set screws on here. One, I personally don't like set screws generally. The bolt catch is retained by a set screw. The Ambi magazine release is retained by a set screw. I actually do prefer roll pins significantly more just because my reasoning for this is these set screws are proprietary, whereas with a roll pin, I can just go and order like a pack of 100 and I'm good. Furthermore, if one strips out, or I should say if one of these, and I guess you can get a roll pin stuck too, but it's more likely to happen that I would get like a set screw to strip out. If that happens, I'm pretty screwed, whereas with a roll pin, I can just punch it out entirely, drill it out if I need to, and then I can just replace it, and it's really simple. So this is always kind of a worry I have with set screws. It hasn't been an issue yet, but I have heard of people having that issue, and I kind of worry about it. This is something that hasn't changed, the use of set screws on both their old generation as well as the newer one. One thing that is different, however, is these set screws, which are very, very hard to see, and I'm not sure if you'll even be able to pick it up on camera, but these set screws now are actually vibratided in, and they're also black, which is just a minor cosmetic difference. The old one was like just a silver stainless type of look to it. And again, it's kind of weird that they call this a stripped lower because actually it comes with the magazine release installed. So if you're worried about doing anything and having to mess with these set screws, you don't need to, actually. If you want to customize the stuff, of course, then yeah, you'll need to take that stuff off and deal with that. But you could just get it and, you know, it's all assembled as far as the set screws go, and you don't need to touch them at all. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the actual features a little bit more, the Ambi features. So you have an Ambi bolt catch right here. It is nice that this is an actual catch, and you know, you can release it from this side as well. It's not just a release on the right side. I know there's a lot of Ambi, or claim to be Ambi lowers, that aren't really truly Ambi. But this, you can do any of the functions identically from either side, which is really, really cool. This Ambi bolt catch is a little odd. It's actually two parts right here. If you look at the regular kind of bolt catch right here on the left side, it has a little, almost like a little pin. It's all machined into the same part, but just kind of a little pin that goes into this lever on the right side, which is odd. And then it just rotates on this set screw right here. So it's kind of attached in two ways there. So it's not going to fall out on its own. One little minor annoyance I do have about that, however, is if you listen to this, it does have a little bit of a rattle to it, super minor, and this is a nitpick. I personally am fine with it because it's really hard to pick up, but if I am doing a review on it, it is worth mentioning. Now you do also have an ambidextrous magazine release, so you got your normal right side one right here, and then you also have the Ambi one right here. It's actually behind your regular magazine release. And also do note, this, as I said, it comes with a magazine release. It doesn't come with this one though. This is a V7 one I put on after the fact. One of my complaints though with this Ambi magazine release is this is a little further back than I would like. I would personally prefer the Ambi magazine release to be right here, pretty much identical to where it is on the right side, because it's kind of, at least for me and how long my fingers are and all that, it's kind of awkward to have to push back like this to actuate that magazine release. It's still doable, but it's a lot harder. On the plus side, however, if you look at where this Ambi mag release is located, and you see this little, kind of like a fence down here, this is really out of the way. I have used other Ambi magazine releases in the past, namely the Strike Industries one, which was, frankly, it really sucked. Although the control on that Strike Industries magazine release was right on this bar right here, so I could push it and it was right where I wanted. It was way too easy to actuate, and also it was just, I installed it on a regular mil-spec lower, so it was really exposed, and I noticed a lot of the time when I'm just walking and it's just up against me, because normally I am shooting right-handed, but not always. It would very commonly push that, and then it would just drop the mag out. As I said, haven't used this specific lower, but I have used the ADM4 on my G95 build right here, and this has never been accidentally pressed. I have a lot of rounds, well over 1,000. I think I'm getting close to 2,000 on here, and yeah, a lot of months of just practicing a bunch of drills on here, and it's never ever been a problem. Similarly, you do also have that same sort of fence right here on the right side, which is quite low, but it does also help so that this right side bolt catch doesn't get bumped or anything like that. And one other note, one thing that's pretty nice about these pivot and takedown pins that come on this lower from ADM is they have this little dimple right here, you can see, on both of them. And that just makes it a lot easier. So if you want to use a tool or the tip of a bullet, for example, to open these up, if it's a really tight fit on whatever particular upper you're using it on, then you can do that. And it has less of a chance of kind of sliding out on you. So they're nice pins. I really do like them. No complaints there. I'm actually going to go back now to talk about one other feature that this does have that is a little bit tricky to see here, but if you look underneath where the takedown pin is, you see that little screw right there. So this has, if you're familiar with the Aero precision lowers, those have a little, well, this is the exact same type of concept, just a little screw right there underneath the grip that you can tighten up, and it'll put pressure on the upper when you have it assembled, just to make it a really nice fit. So I personally don't use it. I have it in here just for the video, but on my G95 build, I took it out entirely. I've noticed personally, if you have a poorly fitting upper, it just makes it so difficult to disassemble when you actually need to, that it's just not worth it. I would personally accept just slightly more slop and have it easy to open up for field stripping in comparison to having just a nice tight fit, but having it really, really difficult to open up and having to use like a mallet or something like that. But it is there if you want it. It has a little bit of rubber on the tip there, so it won't mar up your finish too bad if you are using it. And on all the uppers that I tested this on, they've all been good. No issues with the fit whatsoever. So I just wanted to kind of talk about this lower today. I do quite like it. I know there's not a whole lot of information out there from other channels or anything like that, although I personally think this is one of the better Ambi lowers, and I'm not aware of all of them, but I do like this one. So I would recommend it if you have a chance to pick it up, and if you're looking to build a Ambi AR, then it's a pretty good option. My only complaint is that little bit with how far back the Ambi magazine release is, but On the plus side, it doesn't actuate itself. It is situated in a spot where it won't get bumped, at least from my usage so far of it. So I can accept it being a little bit harder to actuate when I'm using my left hand to press it. Let me know if you have any other questions on this or on anything else in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.